All right, folks, I greet you. Welcome to Homo Politicus on Enterprise TV. I am Citizen Jones Hussein, your host. Today, the President's private visit to France, a question of propriety or improperness. Now, when President Bola Tinubu took his leave of the country on Wednesday, January 24th, 2024, even as the people on the plateau were still trying to recover from the previous walkthrough by the merchants of death, many Nigerians were aghast. Of course, the failure, or so it seems, of the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces to tackle insecurity bedeviling the land came to the fore one more time. There's no denying very many insinuations have emerged about the President's choice of France for his private visits. He's been to France for about 3 times before now, but then his predecessor in office preferred London for his getaways also. But truth be told, as we age, so are health challenges. Therefore, a president's private visits to his doctor should not raise dust, but compassion. But if the state cannot tell us, my leader is out to seek medical attention, then allow us the pleasure of making deductions that border on the absurd. So, is the president's private visits questions of propriety or incorrectness? Let's have a conversation, please. My discussant today is none other than broadcaster, communications expert, Cyril Abaku. Cyril, I greet you. Welcome.
Thank you, Citizen Jones.
Okay. So the president is out of the country. It's provoked the question of propriety and otherwise.
We don't know why he's out of the country. We were not told.
Okay.
We were told what, but not why. So why becomes a question, becomes a mystery of sorts. That, like you rightly pointed out in your introduction, would lead to a lot of conjectures, a lot of deductions, a lot of assumptions, which...
True or false?
No, well, let's come to it first. But which in reality are not congenial, are not conducive, or don't make well for public conversation. One of the tenets of democracy is transparency. And if any other president...
And respect for rule of law.
Rule of law. And so if any president would have done otherwise, would have done anything really in office, for Bola Tinubu, he is a man that anybody can easily hold to the fire for a number of very good reasons. Let's even look, for a moment, not talk first about the domestic situation. Let's look at his person as a president, 2-term governor in office, former senator, a man who has been in opposition politics for decades.
Who knows the dynamics, as they say,
of what's at stake, and who also is a man who in time past has held other leaders to account in similar circumstances. Former President Umar Musa Yar'Adua comes to mind. So if a man like him is now in office, it is only reasonably expected that he would raise the bar a lot more than we're seeing now. But sadly, that's not the situation. Then, this is a private visit. I personally couldn't think that the president went on a pleasure trip. I wouldn't think that of President Bola Tinubu. He didn't go to sign any secret bilateral agreement. He didn't go by secret graduation from a university. The only other thing that we're left to think about is his health, because he has made France his own haunt, just as Buhari made London his own haunt. And I think former President Yar'Adua made Saudi Arabia also. So in this milieu, we are not being offered a visa for new civilization. What we're seeing is recidivism or some kind of retrogression to the past, in which a president will travel without proper communication. And like you rightly said, if democracy is to thrive on transparency and rule of law, transparency, basically transparency and accountability, which themselves are by extension tenets of the rule of law. If a president who in the years past was the megaphone of that advocacy and activism, now he is in that place and cannot lead by that same principle by which he held other leaders while in office, calls a lot into question. Now, I have heard some apologists who would say that they too want the president to tell them why he's traveling, except that they can't find any law to stipulate that the president must state why he's traveling when he's traveling, or even if he was traveling for health reasons,
but
to say why.
The constitution does not require him to do so.
It does not. But again, well, like I would always say, when you are a helmsman, when you are in office, you are in office as two characters. One, you're a leader, and two, you're a manager.
And by extension, you have become public property.
Of course, you become. But I think that the question of public property is a consciousness that appropriates more to the leader than to the manager. That's why when they try to hide behind arguments of is not in the law. We know it's not in the law. It's like when President Buhari, I think about 2 or 3 years ago, had his army chief of staff die in a plane crash in active service. And there was a funeral organized in his honor in Abuja. The president didn't attend. They said no law, and they didn't attend such an event. And you ask yourself,
was he represented?
Well, but I mean, the president should be there. Why would the president attend a state funeral of the head of the nation's army? He is commander-in-chief. Who is deputy commander-in-chief in Nigeria? There's nobody like that. Even
the vice president.
He is not deputy commander-in-chief. He is vice president of the republic. There is a commander. There's a seat, and I never heard about where there's deputy commander-in-chief. So you are president of commander. How in the world does an army chief of staff die? And the president, you see, the reason why everything can be written in the law is because they believe that a reasonable degree of morality will command the leader to do the needful.
And that we are old enough to know.
So coming back to the argument of President Bola Tinubu, you see, I think that somehow past leadership has created a precedent he is only cashing in on. But the fact is, this is a little below or a little beneath the office of the president. The reason I said this is this. Like I said, when you're president, you are both a leader and manager. For me, the manager is consequential. Because the manager is the person who will tell you it's not in the books. He doesn't owe you explanation. He's there to execute what is in the management handbook. But a leader understands correctness, understands perception, understands symbolism, understands that he is there to lead by example, and that whatever he does has a way of percolating down to. So if he won't be open, if they can't, and again, I'm not aware that the president has transmitted power to his deputy to say, while I'm away, you act in my you see.
Is that the crux of the matter?
Again, of course, it's part of it. When your other was unwell, his AGF and Nwaka told us that the president could govern from anywhere. Now, technically speaking, is our president leading Nigeria from France, from Paris? Or he is there and his vice president is acting without Nigerians knowing who is really in charge? In America, I think it was George Bush, or I think it was Bush, who needed to undertake an appendectomy. For the number of hours he was to be under the influence of the knife. He passed power on to, because the leader, you see, these are nations become great. You don't become great and then want to do great. You do great to become great. So you see, when you can't do basic things, you're hoping that one day you become a great nation. You become a great nation because by doing what is right, other people follow your example, and the nation becomes, a nation of people who do right. So the president has transmitted power to his deputy. We don't know who is really in charge. At a time when, let's now come to the issues. When the economy, the dollar, the naira is falling, is in a free fall against the dollar.
But
food inflation is at an all-time high. But families are working free and in plateau.
Again, the people you refer to as apologists will tell you, if the president were here, the naira would still be where it is.
So what will that mean?
So what will change? What would necessarily change now that Mr. President is out of the country?
No, if the
naira will lose.
Let's even take on that issue for the sake of it. If everything that will go wrong, according to Murphy's law, keeps on going wrong, in spite of having a president, he can take a walk. Herbert Hoover did it in America. If Hoover hadn't left office, we wouldn't have had a Franklin Delano Roosevelt become president. Everything Roosevelt couldn't, Hoover failed at doing was what Roosevelt came to change. In fact, Hoover came to office at the time when American people didn't want to take the money to the banks anymore. Roosevelt came and his economy was depressed. It was the Great Depression. Hoover took America into the Great Depression. Roosevelt in America was depressed. The economy was in a depression. He brought it back to life by a raft of policies. So that in about 100 days, people began to believe once again. That's how this issue of 100 days in office came into being. That's because somebody who thought something else could be done came up and did what he thought could be done. And all those who keep on saying whether he's here or not, nothing will change. How did the depression come? What took them into depression? Was the naira at 1.5 before Tinubu became president? It did not. It was not. But it was after he became president.
Well, you and I know that the naira is taking this beating because we are not producing anymore.
No.
And we're not producing anymore because we can't sustain electricity.
That is not the heart of the argument. The heart of the argument is that this president came into office, the naira was at, is it 500 or 600 naira to a dollar, so max 700 to a dollar. And then he lifted it up. Where are we today? It is directly because the president floated the naira against the dollar that we are, what he did was to deregulate. He took the subsidy of the naira. All right? So it went into a tailspin. The same thing happened with the subsidy issue. He took subsidy off. And even when he brought it back in surreptitiously, we can't even explain anything. So the president cannot be absorbed. Perhaps if he had been here, he would have supervised. I don't want to sound this way. He would have supervised the continuation of everything that has happened since he became president, which is that inflation is at an all-time high, unemployment is at an all-time high. Hospitals, most departments are shut down because doctors are walking away and doing what they call japa. All right. So what wasn't working before he traveled? But you should that because this sort of thing, now he is out of the country. Who is giving orders to who? His chief of staff is the one giving orders. Or who? Somebody nobody no Nigerian elected. So these are the issues.
Okay, permit me for once to play the devil's advocate. So let's assume Mr. President is out of the country in search of good health. Let's raise the health issue. Should this be at issue in any case?
No, so it should be. Now, the reason why, and that is why
except that, as you said, he failed to transmute power to his number 2 man.
What we always knew was that President Buhari, I'm coming to your question. President Buhari was an absent-minded president. He didn't care and couldn't be bothered that he didn't care. Now, then I think sometime 2017, he went to London for medical checks. We always knew that he never remained the same man. Physically, he looked robust and strong.
Even though you people thought he was cloned or something.
We people know who?
Okay, Nigerians.
Jubilee of Sudan, right? The Jubilee of Sudan, no. Jubilee of Sudan. That was what Nnamdi Kanu said came back to Nigeria. That who came back was not president. But what about
neither here nor there.
When President Buhari came back to Nigeria, all right, he was no longer a man in his full capacity to be president. This much we now know because Femi Adesina has written a book. Because some people said that he was just there as an ornament. He was no longer there as, the man we voted for.
But Buhari is alive and well. So let's talk Tinubu now.
That incapacitated him. He couldn't perform his duties as president, and effectively, that's why you began to hear the president.
Shall we talk Bola Tinubu now?
I'm coming at a point. The president has sacked the DG of a parastatal. The minister said the president has not sacked him. Then you had the president said the president did the president several times. It was happening. Nobody knew who was in charge of Nigeria. I think the president and last are worried. President Tinubu are worried that from the moment they say he is unwell, the Nigerians will say because it's taxpayers' money. Did he go in a private jet? The question will be, what is the ailment? That's what it will be. Then they will say, make his health records public. Let us know because it's public property. You said that much at the beginning, right?
Yeah. So when you assume public office, you are
property.
Yeah.
So the next thing they will say is release his records. Once that is released, you see now people like us will now flood TV stations and begin to say, they will call my medical letter and say, with this sort of ailment, is it fit enough to remain president? If the verdict is an overwhelming no, you can't. This country, you can never tell how far that will go.
But Cyril, isn't this a metaphor for what's happening on the continent? Next door, Cameroon, the president had been there since 1978.
No, Paul Biya.
Yeah.
Has been there since 1982.
1978. Well, 82 took over from Ahijo.
Ahijo, yes.
Was a premier and then president.
Yes.
Later. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and he's now 93 years old or something like that.
Yeah. And so, are they talking about what's ailing him?
No,
are they talking about his capacity to govern the country?
In fact, to the extent, is Cameroon better than Nigeria? Are they?
I don't know.
We don't switch places to go to Cameroon. As a matter of fact, you see the Ambazonian rebellion that has been forcefully put down. People, they are tired of being in Cameroon and that want to form a country called Ambazonia.
Are you surprised that part of Cameroon used to be belonging in Nigeria?
They will come back.
Okay. That's for another day.
No, Ambazonia will come back to join Nigeria. It's only a matter of time. Now, but you see the point.
And the politics of your country will allow that.
Amazonia will come back to be part of
Nigeria. So the south will be more than the north of Nigeria.
That's not what the aim is. How about Niger and Chad? Will they join Nigeria? They will apply for membership.
Okay, President Tinubu.
But President Tinubu, in President Tinubu's own specific and particular and peculiar case, it is that a president who many Nigerians would have expected to do what leaders do. He isn't doing what leaders do. He's doing less than what leaders do.
Okay.
All right. I mean, if you put president, I'm not a friend of the president. All right. So I'm saying this as a disinterested party to the issue. But as a citizen who has the right to hold his president to account, if you placed President Tinubu and President Buhari, on the stage, I want to think that people will reckon with President Tinubu more than they will with President Buhari.
All right, let's take this breather. It is still Homo Politicus on Enterprise TV, and today we are looking at the president's private visit to France and the question of propriety and/or improperness. We'll be back shortly.
Enterprise TV, your one-stop shop for news, programs, human angle stories, economy, sports, and much more. We go the extra mile to bring incredible details to you. So hop on the train now. Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.
Welcome back. Let's keep the discussion going on. Is it proper for President Bola Tinubu to have privately traveled to France? It's raising a question of propriety, that is correctness or incorrectness. Are we judgmental? Is this proper? Cyril Abak is still here to hold the conversation with me. So I think the president is back in the country. That's what the information is telling us.
Well, if he's back, it's good, but it doesn't take away the question around the trip.
Okay.
A private trip, did he go, did he travel at Nigeria's expense? Did our purse fund the trip?
I guess he did.
If he did, then that's...
So he's accountable to us?
That's corruption, actually.
Okay.
That's corruption, actually. And it's chilling. It's not what... You see, there are...
Aren't we too judgmental, a people?
No, we are not. I think that what we are a people who, because of the many years we've spent under misrule, and the many years we've spent rudderless, the many years we've spent living beneath the standard, we have come to adopt vice as norm. We have come to accept wrong as right. We have come to live with the notion that anything goes and we shouldn't question it. Yes, but in reality, that's not what it should be. You want to look at a country that prides itself as Africa's giant, that says that Africa shall be the centerpiece of its foreign policy. And if those are true statements, the question is, what can other African countries look at Nigeria and learn? What can they see and learn? What could they possibly learn about our behavior, our political civilization, our economic structure, our government processes, our administrative way of doing things. You know
how. Yeah.
Yes, know-how. I mean, for a country that for a long time, places like the Gambia, places like Uganda, Botswana will come to Nigeria and say, could you lend us some of your senior lawyers? Would you like to lend? The first chief judge of, I think, Botswana and Uganda were Nigerians. Just as Aguda was in Uganda, right? Then Udodoma, I think, was in Botswana.
No, Udodoma, Uganda.
Then I think it was Aguda that was in Botswana.
Yeah. And of course, Taslim Elias, the Gambia.
Not all the lawyers. As at about 14 years ago, there was a Nigerian who was the chief judge, I think, of the Gambia.
And I must not fail to mention this. Late Mr. J.U. Sen was sent to Guyana as the Inspector General of Police.
You can
imagine. He was assisted by Fidelis Kilome.
You can imagine that.
Yes. I remember that. Yeah. 1972. Under the government. So we were there.
This was a country that knew how to pull its weight. Its weight around, and fittingly so. So
we dropped the ball. When?
Sure we did. I think we dropped the ball because of the long stay of the military in power. And somehow, even Nigerian politics.
I don't think we should have outgrown this military wahala.
It may take a long time. Psychology is not something you outgrow by willingness alone. It is by deliberate, repeated behavior. Until, psychology will tell you, for example, that anything you do for 2 weeks continuously becomes a character or becomes a habit. So the question is, what are we repeatedly doing to make sure that we begin to behave that way? Repeatedly, we're doing the wrong things. Repeatedly, we are yes.
At that point, Cyril, don't you think we are all complicit? Both the ruler and the ruled.
So even if we were, one could easily...
No. Don't you think we are all complicit?
No.
Because as Nigerians, we have the power to complain, but we do nothing.
We may not be. It's like, say, going to the house and saying, parents and children are all doing the wrong thing. You can't say that and expect change. You must call forth those who have responsibility to do what is right. You must look at the parents and say, parents, why is this? Someone must take the leadership. And so, we were in this same state when in 1975, July 29, the coup took place. That brought Muritala to power. By the following morning, all the vehicles that are causing the great lock on Oshodapa Expressway had disappeared. Because they knew that a man who broke no nonsense had come to town. If you recall very well, it wasn't just, I think before then, Gowon had sent Black Scorpion to the Papa Port.
About the congestion.
When they heard that Black Scorpion was coming, the whole place cleared also. So reputation matters. The question is, you see, the president's private trip to France isn't bringing us any closer to making Nigeria better. This is the truth.
So the impression you are giving me is that we are in Orwellian times.
No, we are. And leadership now, to answer the question more specifically, you are saying that you said aren't you all complicit, both government and the government? And I'm saying that, look, government has a responsibility. Why do they campaign? They campaign to say, I can make things better. I know things are bad, but we can make things better. So leadership must arise and must awaken to do what's right for us to follow and copy. Now, Babangida used to say when he was in power, he would say things like, we're not only in government, we're also in power. Babangida always said it. He would say, so government is not just government is power. You have the power to lead by example. You have the power to do right, to be right. But when
so if we grant that,
yes,
and we say by extension that government has the right of a monopoly of chaos and
violence, yes.
Our insecurity wahala should have been behind us.
Should have been, but again, I don't think government is sincere. I have to be honest with you. Government doesn't seem sincere in dealing with insecurity in Nigeria. You can't. No book could be so powerful to bring a nation to its knees. The way Boko Haram, the way the bandits, the way kidnappers have suddenly are now doing and seem to have the upper hand. I don't believe the government is not able to do what it ought to do. You know, as I always said, if government gets to know what they know when we also know, then there's no government in this country. Winston Churchill led the Allies to win World War II largely because he believed he saw what intelligence did in World War I. So today also, there is a reason. You have NSCDC. I thought their work was to help comb the forests. There are forest rangers in states that have an agriculture. Come on. This is a very unkind court. You have the police. You have military intelligence. Police intelligence. You have military intelligence. You have Air Force intelligence. You have naval intelligence. You have the DSS. You have the Nigerian Intelligence Agency.
So
all these people put together.
A failure of intelligence?
It's not a failure of intelligence. It is a deliberately orchestrated, premeditated failure.
Okay.
Yes, to keep us in this limbo. I don't believe that failure. I mean, a child goes to write the exam in school and fails. It's not necessarily because that child is not brilliant. It could be because there was no time for preparation. Maybe the child is assisting his parents to work on the farm or something. But in our own case, it is deliberate failure. It is deliberate failure. It's deliberate. Nobody can tell us government is not sincere about what is going on.
And then you're giving the impression that we are being led by the blind. So we are blind ourselves.
Well, I mean, that could pass for a metaphor in a manner of speaking. But again, led by the blind who are deliberately blind, not because they are blind by design. They are blind by choice.
Okay.
Not by accident, but they choose to be blind. It's an artificial blindness. The day they are ready to get things on, they will get things on.
All right, Cyril, the index finger of the producer is saying we must apply the brakes, but not before thanking you for your time. So the debate is on a president's private visit to France, a question of propriety or improperness. I am Citizen Jones Hussein on behalf of the Backroom Boys saying thanks for watching. Bye-bye now.
Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.